Grand Finals has been absolutely wicked good, and I feel like we're just going to continue that trend for the next 3 days.
I do not know how we can up what was just one of the most brutal hardships we've seen in a very long time. But you know what, game? If you have a way of doing it regardless, then by all means, throw at me whatever you want. Even the crates got pushed around by the ships. I mean, it was a wild one. This time around, though, playing path, a breather. Simple. Teams can go wherever they want.
Only real problem would be Zarki, and we only have one team that kind of cuts in that path. Georgia Pole should be even kind of easy to get to. Plane pathing also not really touching too much military base, but let's not get ahead of ourselves on that. Kameshki going to be the end of the line. As I was told one time that a lot of the players refer to Kameshki as kamikaze because every single time you go there, you're just going to end up not walking out of it feeling too good.
It's, I mean, it's just so far away from everything. Now, again, I mean, if you're Ed's team, I don't see why I shouldn't just be able to hop on up towards the northeast. You'll be all kinds of fine, but of course, rotating down towards the south. It's one of those areas where when circles do go northeast, even if you're pretty early in rotating south, because there are only so many spots available in the area, it's very oftentimes easily or early on taken. That was a weird wording, but it made sense, I think.
Nothing too high fault is what you said, so it's okay.
I'm still trying to calm down after that last game, so.
We're allowed. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we got the breaks going on. Right?
Exactly,
So either players need it, we all need it. Get the reset in here as we're now just waiting to see where the circle is going to be shifting, as there is pretty centered, right?
Center first circle. Again, we're getting back to the standards. We all know that this one is going to ping pong back and forth over Rosak River the entire game and just make it miserable for all the players on the server. But we'll see. We'll see if the game is going to give the players at least a little bit of a break, as at least initially it's going to be pretty simple for, I would say, all teams to rotate into this phase one.
And we have the most glorious of fans you can see sitting there, being excited.
Wave to the camera.
Like, what is even happening? Where is the camera even at?
I feel it's debate looking at the screen.
You're living my life right now. Do I look at the screen? Do I look at the camera? I don't know.
I mean, clear to see that they saw themselves in the camera, and that's all they needed. I don't need to look into the camera. I just want to look at myself. I mean, that's perfectly fine.
All right, you know, let's live your best life over there. As we do have a kind of a 40-60 split with the river cutting through this one. We might see some weird shenanigans happening around the river, but also we did see 2 school games, and that's pretty
Thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for bringing it up. I was just going to say, I wonder if Navi is going to crash into school this game. I specifically
said, you know, I haven't cast a school game in a long time. I would love to cast one, and then you guys get 2 of them without me.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. Now let's listen in to face the victors of this previous game and hear what they thought coming into the grand finals.
Feels really good to move on to the grand final. Normally in the old phase teams it was a struggle getting to the grand finals, but here we just sort of like breeze through, so feeling very confident. So before the grand finals we'll just basically look at the teams around us and see what they do, see their strategies, if they go center, if they stay edge, and just kind of adjust based on that. So I think Cerberus has had a very strong performance so far, and we also like loot close to them on many maps, so they're kind of like on our radar. We're looking out for them the most, I would say.
I think it's kind of effective to say that Cerberus is on everybody's radar, especially no matter where you drop at. You got to keep an eye out for them in the earlier phases of it. No phase pun intended on.
Now, as much as they're on people's radar, they're also in 16th.
True.
It's not been the Cerberus start that they've been able to pull off in the previous stages, because they have been coming out with flying colors in both winners and group stages, but this time around they're still short of that one good game to pop things off.
Well, they tend to like exploiting that mid game, and with the way that the circle's been going today,
true,
they just haven't been able to find those successes, instead playing into a more like defensive strategy, because let's be honest, we know that Cerberus isn't always the most position or like a position point focused team, right? They tend to like to use a lot of their kills to propel them through different stages, and they just can't quite find anything yet.
Yeah, we're seeing the push from Na'Vi up to Tyloo in that previous one. Glad that we're getting a show of it, because it happened off screen. So here you can see them, Tyloo just not ready for what was coming, and Na'Vi, again, I mean, a warm Na'Vi, a world champion Na'Vi are practically unbeatable. Teams had a chance of beating them through winners bracket, but now they've come back and saying, we want revenge.
And there is something to be said with very odd circles that we keep getting, and a total amount of LAN experience coming into play, right?
Yeah.
Whenever whenever you've played several hundred games on LAN, and then you see a circle that shifts the way that it is, you're more prepared for it than if it's your, I don't know, 10th or 15th time, 20th time, looking all considered. And so it makes it to where some of these teams that are, I guess, newer inside of the scene and all considered have to be dealing with these curveballs and just consistently learning. So don't count them out yet. But it's how fast can they adapt to that style?
Definitely, plenty of games still left to play, and with there being 18 games, of course, that does make for a little more space for some of the bad games. Issue is that we're not playing for that just top 8 anymore. You want to come out victorious, and when you have a team that like Na'Vi that is coming off to as good of a start as they are, Sonics as well, 1 or 2 bad games too many, and you're not even top 3 material. You're maybe outside top 8.
I grew up pretty poor, so anything is a life-changing amount of money to me. But whenever we're looking at the prize pools at this thing, one position is a significant difference in pay at the end of the day. Especially you get into those top brackets, it's an entirely different environment.
It sure is. And speaking of environment, I think Falcons wish they were a different one as they run straight into FaZe Clan. This time around, they're set up close, set up tight. It takes down the first 2 players of Falcons. We heard it from the Fex interview in the previous one. They're going to play it slow. They're going to see what other teams like to do as Corexi finds at least attack with the bolt, but nothing more will come off it. They're playing adaptive, they're playing it slow, and they've been playing it very, very smart from the start of this.
This is just a modification off the last game. They saw the fact that they rotated in, they were leaning into that Eastern approach, and now FaZe just being a little bit ahead of the game, picking up a couple more kills, and that's how you get there, right? That's how you get to that huge prize pool, is time and time again making these small modifications for 2 points a game, and then suddenly you're not having to just bite your nails on the last one.
Exactly. And for anyone tuning in a little bit later, not hearing my my praise early on, I do praise map feeds if you don't already have it open, whether it be on a phone, whether it be on a tablet, whether it be second monitor, other browser, you name it, get the map feed open. Do !map in the chat. That way, as much as we like seeing DraftKings get his loot game going, we can keep track of what every team is doing on their rotation towards what is a pretty simple first circle.
I want to keep you guys updated on the Pachinki lifestyle, as 17 Gaming has left Pachinki, and it is going to be Sonics that shifts in. Now playing, I believe that's going to be Church in the northern flat top over there. So a lot of eyes now starting to maneuver around this Badlands area, and that's no surprise. It's can become a key component of several games whenever we look on the international stage, and whenever it is, it can get quite messy over there pretty quick.
Sure can, and what better for Sonics as well? I mean, they don't get to loot here, obviously. It's 17 real estate, but to go in and backfill and still now have a chance to play out of a position you're used to rotating out from, you know the timings, you know kind of the different directions you want to go in depending on where the circle takes you. Smart from Sonics to keep to eye on opportunity to just go in and sweep that away from 17 Gaming.
Plus, you get the benefit of kind of pinching 17 between you and Twisted Minds. That's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Exactly, not the worst at all. Here we see them on screen. Currently set in a close 2-2 split. Of course, just waiting for that next circle to pop and trying to get as much info as they possibly can before the next circle does reveal itself.
Ditto Mountain getting some love as well, as we do have Na'Vi that's playing over there. Cerberus looks like that's how they're planning out and scouting whatever chaos that they might be trying to eye in this one. But again, a much more quiet styling, and I think that that's kind of one of the symptoms of that play style, right? Is if you're kind of one of those mid-game frag-heavy squads and it's not working for you, suddenly you have to play a lot more passive, and you're playing an entirely different game than what got you here.
I mean, look at the teams that have been winning global tournaments. They aren't the super YOLO early game teams. Na'Vi playing a slow play style in the middle, usually on the edge, then clean up, then wrap center late game. 17 Gaming doing the exact same thing now. They normally have been landing in the center of the map, but are never really in a hurry to take center positions elsewhere. They'll play it slow, then they'll backfill, then they'll take out teams on approach. It's normally the teams that play the smarter, the more calculated PUBG that also ends up coming out victorious.
And the one that can exploit the circles is always the one on top of it.
And for Sonics to go out and do this as well, whether it's something they've done throughout the tournament or not, and to be able to change it up too, because I do see them as a more aggressive team in the region, in NA, or in the Americas region as a whole. But for them to go out and say, here, okay, we got to play a different PUBG, because if we want to come out victorious, we got to slow things down a bit.
Because you always hear the players talk about, you know, like, oh, hey, who are you worried about inside this? And then a lot of times they're like, oh, well, we're just playing our own game. Because all the players know the real enemy is the blue zone and the circles themselves, and that's what they're always trying to figure out. They know a lot of times the team that's going to be in front of them, and they know their play styles. But really, it's how can I turn this situation into what is best for me.
Yep.
And that decision-making process is the thing I love about this game more than anything else.
If you mind, Game PT setting up an emergency pickup early on here, of course, want to time it perfectly with the Circle 2 pop. In the previous game, they were very quickly at getting towards said Circle 2, but let's now see where this one takes us. How hard of a hard shift are you going to present to us? Are we just going to school? Okay. You know what there is? There is a world where this circle or game could become one of the spiciest ever. If we end on what I like to call Bermuda, the island out in the middle. I think I've casted it once in a competitive lobby before. Very rare, but where there's a will, there's a way.
And you say I'm evil. You want them to go to an island in the middle of nothing surrounded by water that's got like 2 pieces of cover, and I'm the guy that likes mean circles?
You know what I mean? Just throw a sword in between them and see who comes out victorious. That's what I'm all for. In the meantime now, let's see FaZe trying to rotate on forward. These dips are great, were better, but now, of course, with mortars available, have become that much more dangerous to claim. So FaZe not wanting to set up a shop here. They're going to continue on forward, but running straight into the pre-nades of the Expendables.
Oh, I like this coming out from
the
FaZe.
headshot as well.
A bit further away from it, but FaZe just turns into this and they go, no.
Now,
You're not going to do that to us.
One knock that came through. Dox was able to find the first one, but instantly traded in return. Correct, he actually found from another team. Now Delbo with an 8 on the side finds double as well. Just like that, it's only Gustav left alive.
That positioning was massive in turning this back around. Gustav, the man of the match inside that last.
Oh,
no! Get away from the nade! He has to retreat away and has to surrender a good defended position. At least he can kind of get back over here next to his teammates with Scow. Ty Lu comes back in behind this one. The Expendables Delwyn already out. FaZe Clan going to get eliminated. And Ty Lu just sweeps in and says, mine.
Yep, they'll claim everything they possibly can off of just that. They were set on the other side waiting for an opportunity like this one. And here it presents itself. Falcons in a nearby vicinity here, as well as DraftKings and Capitan trying to kind of creep in from both sides. Remember, they are only 2 players left alive, so a little more limited how much pressure they can really apply in this situation as well. What? How did he run over 2 people?
I don't know.
Nongs! Revoke his driver's license!
Somebody's never touching a vehicle again after this is all I can say. They're going to have to retreat away from Sunken City. We do have 4 teams that made the commitment into Sunken City and not a 1 into Ruins. So we're kind of keeping an eye on the movement there. A lot of our teams did wrap up to the north. Most notably, it's going to be 4 Angry Men, Cerberus, Danawa, and it is going to be Cerberus that finds themselves pretty hard gate kept out from this one, as Danawa and 4 Angry Men just clustered along the hillside.
Also right now, if you're looking at the map, to anyone out there doing so as well, liking the split that we're seeing from Gen G. It's wide, but it's working because we know how well their playstyle is. They will disengage if being under pressure. So even though Taman is set alone in Cube, he probably has his car positioned in a way that he can get out of there easily. He has PO, EJ up on top of Everest as well to defend. So they now know. They have seen Na'Vi make this rotation on through. They've already seen Forrest wrap the other way around as DG98 is shooting at them. They know exactly what is on their side of the circle and can therefore play accordingly once this next circle pops.
And with it being more of a 50-50, they have options no matter how this goes. Unless this just for whatever reason goes, yoink, Rajak, right? They have multiple ways that they can play around. They've got tons of information they can work with. Now, I will point out, we do have Twisted Minds that is running from south of school through Rajak, and Danawa with 1 member in Salute in Rajak as well. Most of the rest of our teams just kind of playing into the dips that you were talking about is dips free, not necessarily the term that it used to mean with those mortars.
And we're already now seeing Danawa use set mortars, and of course they'll be doing the calculations to the best of their abilities to try and figure out how that's going to go through. A little late on setting up the emergency pickup there is 4 AM as the circle does swing up towards the north. If you're Game PT right now, you are grouping up on Hush and Daku. They know that this next circle is going to swing north. You better be ready for this circle to come your way, because if you don't group up now, every single team will be eyeing your 2 compounds.
4 Angry Men already inside their vehicle. Cerberus looking to do the same. The problem with it is going to be Danawa firing line making a big problem for them. Ty Lu cutting out of Sunken City. They're just going to go right across what you call Bermuda just a moment ago. Going to be running into Gen G, who's now trying to regroup. Question mark already inside their vehicles. Na'Vi wrapping up into the north. Is with this commitment, a lot of teams were playing that line hoping that it would go more south. Instead, it's just going to have to commit into some really, I don't know, what do you want to call the terrible decisions that you now have to make moving into the circle?
I'm not sure, trying to run across lava stones barefooted, I suppose, as we now see Longs and his two remaining teammates doing exactly that. We will not talk about why there are only 3 left alive. But here comes Tai Lu. Again, as I said just before, game PT, if you don't group up, you will be under pressure. Now they hear the vehicles. Does that mean Babsanghead and Hella regroup with their teammates? I hope it does, but Hella seems a little indecisive in whether or not he wants to peek on over or get back down inside the compound.
I feel like their hesitation comes from the fact that T5's got that compound just to the east of the position of the northern duo and is taking pot shots at the ones into the south. And so instead, they're just going to lean into hoping that they can be scary enough, right? This is where you show your fangs. You make a lot of noise, you take a lot of shots, you switch your weapons, make it seem like there's multiple people over here, so that way nobody goes after what is considered to be probably one of the strongest positions to play inside the circle.
Everyone wrapping up towards the north, 17 far out of the circle to the east, and both Sonics and Na'Vi out towards the west. I'm not sure if Melman disconnected earlier and came back in, because he is here now, but he is very disjoint from his team, still on the southern side trying to scout his way forward. Question mark wrapping up in that direction too. This is a 3-way fight bound to happen if Na'Vi hears the vehicles and if they opt to shop. But again, keep in mind, Melman ain't here.
Yeah, I don't think that Na'Vi wants too much more out of this. They were just wanting to slow roll to kind of get an idea on what's in front of them. Sonics, if they get enough, they might want to do something. Eachwin just nails it.
Sit down, Elliot. That kill is mine, and he games it in the end. You love to see it.
Oh, and on top of that, Mel now in trouble, question mark, back behind him. They're going to spot him out in rotation. This is also going to be Tycon in some trouble as he's all by his lonesome. Izaki already down for Cerberus, as Cerberus just cannot find a way to make this circle work for him.
A tall order here for Tycon to try and fend off on his own. He does have Himmers on the other side who should be ready for this push through from Sushi, but he's currently repositioning his vehicle, and now Little Ghost up at the top of the building is trying to make something happen here. Issue for them is Danoa is nearby as well, but Himmers, despite having a P90, cannot outduel Sushu.
I mean, he just unloaded close range there. We do have Twisted Minds that also moved in the south just below Cerberus to make their life even more complicated. Tycon just trying to maneuver into this. We're going to come back behind him, gets sprayed on to one, picks up the second one as well. Cerberus now finding their firefighting legs.
Tycon used the 17 smoke against them to perfection. Crawls out of the building, sits in the smoke, allows them in, and then backstabs them. Great turnaround there, a needed turnaround for Cerberus to finally have things going their way.
Downside of all of this firefighting, though, is the circle did shift more into that northeastern or northwestern area. So the east is not in the safe zone right now. It's going to be Haisaki looking down. Suju managed to get some good shots out beforehand, but he's going to have to hit some crazy ones. Not going to happen this time around. 4 Angry Men also being involved inside the firefight.
By the time this circle is closed in, there's room for only one team up here on the northern side, which is why all these teams are trying to force this fight early. Yes, they technically have space to maneuver, but it's so damn difficult for them to get anything done with so many teams around them. So you've got to flex out, you've got to force teams in other directions, but everyone is doing the exact same thing. So now it's just bumper cards on the edge of the circle, which is causing all these fights to occur at the exact same time.
Yeah, when we get involved in that, got bumped out of it. As you said, using the bumper cars reference itself, Falcons Capitan, what are you going to do from over here? Is you are now just, no path is going to be looking too good. Jin Ji going to be over to the west. He's going to have to cut through the Rajak Bridge. I mean, I guess he could technically swim in and try to sneak in back behind Jin Ji, but they heard those shots just a moment ago and were already looking at that compound.
He is the captain. He has a plan. I'm not worried for him whatsoever. I'm sure that he's going to come up with something absolutely majestic, and we're all going to cherish him for whatever he opts to do.
Can also see question mark about to have some question marks in their rotation. It's going to be Uba that they're going to have to kind of ride up against right now. Rolling right up on top of them. They're not going to be able to, they managed to pick that one up pretty easy, but they're not going to be able to move into the circle too efficiently, as it's going to be Tai Lu that's still going to be holding them to the east. Sonic's not really even eyeing this too much to the north, just due to the hillsides coming to play. Tai Lu being their big problem.
Na'Vi out, Cerberus out early on in this one as well. A little less of a chaotic game compared to the previous ones, but still a game that Cerberus couldn't quite figure out how to maneuver through. 15th place is where they're currently set, as we'll see what happens as they come into the next game. PO, as you said, Genji would probably spot Capitan eventually, and indeed he did. Falcons out 12.
Forest just having to deal with problems on both sides. They've got Sonics that they're having to contend with, as well as 4 Angry Men. 4 Angry Men trying to regroup across this hill, moving closer and closer into that T5 hillside. But remember, that does kind of drop down into it, so T5 can't do too much. It's just going to be Danawa and Forest they're having to contend with.
Now, one thing I'm curious to see here with 4AM is that, as some of you may know, 4 Angry Men is now a combo of what was New Happy and the current 4AM roster. New Happy had some really, really good games out of this position, as we see Titan will find one. He's going to go down to the circle as well. But New Happy had some really good plays out of this circle. So under the charge of Xiaopian, I'm curious to see how much 4AM can make of this game.
H-Win putting in some work right now. In a world where everybody's running ARs, DMRs, all this other stuff, sometimes the Bolty can just put in the work. Question mark, though, having to contend in as they've got Gen G that's creeping up right back behind them, but it's just the Sonic line that is just so hard for them to navigate.
So difficult to really commit to a peak. As you can see, as soon as they try and look on over, they're instantly forced back down again. They have to do some damage in return, but with H-Win hitting the shots that he currently is, not a whole lot is really being applied in terms of pressure.
Just don't peek this hill. Everybody, as long as you just don't peek over here, everything's going to be fine. The circle has moved into the northeastern area, and that's going to be where we saw 4 Angry Men at just a moment ago with T5. The bottom part of it's going to be Game PT that's going to be inside of it. So Gen G, and just keep it going, H-Win.
H-Win is just not done. Already spent 9 bullets, a lot of which has been converted into knocks. Phil first lives to write home about that first bullet. We'll see if the second one coming through will find the knock. It's mini pixels. He's got available, but 61 damage straight to the chest. That should be a vest gone. They know there's damage done. They know he has to commit to the heal. Mime is running up close, running up forward with flashes in hand, trying to deny any sort of reset here for Phil first. Dante is knocked as well, so nothing that Phil first can do. As I say that though, Mime spotted as H-Win can't get the angle.
Phil first making sure to make this as painful as possible. The cost has been massive for Sonics over here. 2 members now down. Blue Zone coming in back behind him, but don't forget Ty Lu's up that hillside, so this has to end sooner or later, and H-Win just not finding the angle to make it work yet. Phil first being a persistent thorn in his side, realizing, hey, I'm going to pick up these skill points. I'm going to at least take you down with me.
Phase 5 damage hurts like hell. H-Win has to continue to move forward, 42 HP and counting, as he knows that every single shot from the other side could be his downfall. Xiao Yang will get the better of him in the end, and Phil first able to stay alive at least for a little while longer.
Well, yeah, here comes Tyloo. Multiple members.
He's got a jammer pack as well. So
they know where he is. He's trying to go for some type of loot. Does almost fight that one back, but he is going to go down. No winners to be had in the west, except for Tyloo.
Nice cleanup there for Tyloo out towards the western side. Forest had a chance to aggress on it, had a chance to peek on over, but not knowing exactly what to expect from the compound means that they are going to play it safe. Also, they have a whole other worry in 4AM on the other side, so smart that they don't over-aggress in that one.
Tyloo having to deal with the new threat of Gen G here in just a second, but you can see that Twisted Mind's doing a good job on helping him out with that one. All the way across the circle, making sure that that rock is going to be about the only thing that they can get out of this whole situation is, like, no replay coming back.
He actually just flew straight into his face with a kind of valiant effort, just full speed fly into the shack. You don't need any emergency pickups to fly. You just need to jump out of the vehicle as fast as you can, and unluckily for him, didn't work.
So we've got a lot of teams playing Edge, and that is no surprise. The center is not necessarily the most comfy place to be playing from. Twisted Minds got vision all the way across into Gen G, and T5 is going to be looking down at what's going to be going on with Game GP.
Tyloo is looking to flex out of them, loving this reaction play from Forest. They heard the shots on the other side. They knew that they were going to wrap in that direction and master. The one player from the team was actually opted to aggress early on in some of these situations is the one to push forward. Olympus shots fired. Easy cleanup duty there for Forest Gaming as they take out their threat towards the southwest.
Starting to get a pretty decent game all considered. Now it's going to be, if you mind, Game PT is going to be moving right back behind Gen G. Mortar is going to be landing in. Danoa, though, having to contend in with the 4 Angry Men, or I guess 2 Angry Men and 2 X-Happy Men, as it's going to have to be navigated here pretty closely.
Yeah.
4 Angry Men, though, has got to be careful. As they wanted that nade so bad, but it is going to be a Hella that manages to pick it up.
Again, a Game PT that dares to go out aggressive, dares to go out and make a play. I love to see it. We didn't see a lot of it throughout the earlier stages of the tournament, but now, even though the circle isn't in their favor, they actually flex out to take control. Love to see it.
Forrest wanted to try to get something on the 4 Angry Men, but they had to read into it. HSMM putting in the work there. Xiaopian got to be very, very careful, though, as the rest of Forrest is making their way down this hillside. Not too many options to work with. They are going to be sending it right into his sight line, though, and Lou's going to come in, provide some support inside of that, and now Forrest options are getting smaller and smaller. What do you even do? Gah, 4 Angry Men. What did Forrest do to you? They're just like lumberjacks out here.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that that was the play for Mundo to just full speed send it down the hill. hill. Of course, he wanted to get his teammate back up on his feet, but they had time to work with. So again, as we've seen with Sonics, as we've seen in Na'Vi in the earlier stages of the tournament, let time work in your favor. 4AM are going to be forced to push into the lines of sight of their opponents. Now, they do come out with a kill, but could have, I think, easily at least stayed 3 alive had they played this one a little smarter and a little more patient.
This aggressive move from 4 Angry Men is so good because now it is going to force Forest to play much more to the south instead of the east. With that said, I don't know, they're going to throw out smokes, and now they're going to start trying to move into this.
Yeah.
4 Angry Men still need to move to the south, but while this is happening, Dano has left the center of the circle and shifted all the way to the east.
And in the meantime, down towards the southeast, as you can see in your pip in the bottom right-hand corner, Twisted Minds are trying to fend off against Game PT, who have flexed out of the compound, who is on the push. They've already taken out on the entirety of Gen G with nades, and now Hush is trying to get so much closer to Twisted Minds. Issues, as you can see as well, the nades are the smokes are fading out. They don't have any more cover than the few vehicles and trees that are right in front of them.
We've got a stack of teams in this one that are still right on top of the leaderboard, still just trying to make their way into that top side of it all considered. Twisted Minds, GP, 4 Angry Men, as well as Forest. Forest going to go ahead and get eliminated there, but if you mind, Game PT now going to have some options to work in, and it looks like that option is going to be to try to make sure that they shut down anything that Twisted Minds is bringing. They're going to go for the regroup. Spyro's going to go for the spray, cannot quite get it, but 4 Angry Men now just pinched down to the top. It's Dano, what are you going to do?
One good nade here, that could be all of them gone down. The peak over the side, Hush finds one, finds the second as well. Will be traded in yet, but now it's all onto Babsang. Head issue is he is one ridge too far behind and can't get over on the other side in time. He does have a molly. If he could land perfectly onto Lou, he might be able to get something of it, but I'm not sure he's going to commit to it just yet. As I say that, he peeks on over, looks on forward, but Lou is there, ready to defend his teammates.
Ooh, man, this is just so narrow for Twisted Minds, just clinging to life. The circle doesn't even give them any love to work with. T5, comfy, cozy, comfortable, just doing whatever they want right now inside the circle. They've got the compound, and everybody else is having to deal with the absolute lack of anything to work with. Look at the circle in front of them. It is just some hills to kind of navigate through. 4 Angry Men, they don't have the cleanest path, and Dano is going to be on the opposing side of it too. So
I think after this tournament, everyone's going to be asking 3rd on 5 what's their morning routine, what's their in-game settings, what do they do in order to always be in the right compound at the right time, because here they are doing it once more. Just 2 kills on the team. It's been a very quiet game, but a very 3rd on 5-esque game in terms of them not really having had to do all that much but sit tight and let the teams around them do the majority of the damage. Issue is, from this position, you're allowing 4AM closer, and if one knocks comes through, you can be pretty sure that 4AM are going to full speed send it into the compound.
The thing that 4AM is so nervous about is that this compound has windows that look this direction. Yeah. That's how come they were down on their stomachs. Dano, while kind of holding that angle, is forcing them to play more aggressively into this. T5, though, needs to be careful. They're going to send out Pathbong to see if maybe he can get some type of an idea on what's going on with 4 Angry Men. He's left the compound itself. He's navigating in through this one. While this exchange of bullets is going on, Twisted Minds going to hop in their vehicle, try to wrap around. That is going to grab T5's attention. So if 4 Angry Men wanted to try to make anything happen, they've got to try to do it within the next few seconds.
Yeah, sure do. First one to fall is going to be Lou. Sparrow should be folding immediately after, as that vehicle is not bound for this world. A rock for cover and a blown up car in just a few moments as he's trying to sit tight on the edge of the circle. Car will explode. Will it take him down with him? No! Just exactly not, as somehow Sparrow is still alive despite the entire server shooting at him.
Dano has moved very aggressively into T5's line. They are right down below them now, and they have got to be cautious. If they manage to step up and distract T5, that means that Spyro can actually try to make some type of play out of this one.
Yeah.
The HSMM going to be going down. T5 now starting to stretch out these legs, get a bit more, but Dano has gotten so close to them.
I don't mind this flex at all. They've taken full control of the south. They know that it's very limited what Spyro will be able to do from where it's currently set, and anticipating that this was going to be the shift as we see 282 damage being sent towards Xiaopiang. Assuming that this was going to be the shift, they now have full control of the final circle. 3rd on 5 has to leave the buildings. 4AM are out, and so are Spyro from Twisted Minds. So Danoma trying to play this one to get the win.
Zhao pretty much going to have a med degree after the amount of meds and healing he's had to do over here. 4 Angry Men finally gone off of this, as it's going to be Danoa turning their focus back into Twisted Minds, or get rid of that problem. Now we are in a straight up a 3v4 T5 in the north, but Danoa with circle control.
Yeah, they have the spot. They have Loki in the off-angle position as well. Most importantly right now for him is do not get knocked. He has the tree. You can see he's ready for any 1/3 and 5 player wrapping around the backside, essentially covering everything that the players up close in Anonix and Soul can't. So he has to stay alive. He has to really maintain full control of this position and see if some of these smokes that are being deployed now from Therodon are bait smokes or if they're actually trying to make plays off him. Does he see him here? Oh, Rusted's on the other side.
This is exactly what I wanted to see T5 do. Move back out around the building itself, step back down. Soul's going to get the knock onto one. Those shots coming out from Austin is going to reveal the fact that they were trying to push that smoke. Loki is going to try to defend up. With Anonix now down, it's going to get more and more compressed right into this hillside. Seeing maybe they can get the flush out of this with throwing up whatever they can. And now T5, full on retreat. They want to move into this with a numbers advantage, but that is costing them the control. Soul navigating through, has spot, diffusing the shields, going to get the knock onto one. Can he get past the bong as well? Just having to jump down, drop, make sure that he cannot get spotted, and even the feet are protected.
Oh, able to take him down as well, able to get the reset on as well. Dangerous lives, Therodon 5 are living here, but now down to just Loki left alive. Issue is they've both committed to reses, so Loki should be able and will be able to get Anonix back on his feet. Again, keep in mind, Therodon 5 will have to get out of this compound, will have to move south, and now Loki and Anonix are sat there ready and waiting for it.
They've surrendered all information. T5 is walking this one near on blind. They had to commit into the reses on both members. So with this, they're now moving out to this wall, seeing if maybe they can touch something, if they can get some type of aggression. And Nox reading that, mirroring it down to the south, knows the fact that they're going to be coming in from that western side, gets a beat into it, takes a couple of shots, but saw the numbers and how fast they're going to be coming out. Path and Pong moving down into this one. Is he going to be able to spot it, or is Nox going to hold the line?
No utilities to work with. It's all just dry peeks from Loki as he peeks alone, finds the double. This ring around doesn't work, but there is Rosset, able to find one as the second one comes through. He will get himself the double, and Therodon 5 prevails.
I do not mind if you're going up against Gen G that you decide, hey, we need to make sure we get these reses because we're going to need to trade. Stepping out, and you can see they made them fight for it.
What a great attempt, though, from Danoa to try and claim this one. Again, setting yourself up for success early on.